So pretty much the last two fights Alex Pereira's had, I made videos following up saying, okay, well now there's no hiding. There's no getting away from it. Alex has to fight Magomed Ankalaev. He has to fight the Dagestani. He has to fight essentially the black guy of the light heavyweight division, if you catch my drift. But no, he's actually fighting an actual black guy now in Khalil Rountree, right? Khalil Rountree. I mean, nobody saw that coming. Does Khalil Rountree deserve a title shot? I mean, he beat Anthony Smith, tested positive for steroids, and now he's fighting Alex Pereira for the title. I mean, what's going on here? I think essentially the UFC, they want to ride the Alex Pereira wave as much as they possibly can. They needed him to save another pay-per-view, or else we were going to get Pennington versus, what's her name? Pennington versus, who's the champ at 135 for women? I think it's Rachel something? Right? Okay, besides, we don't want that, right? Right? That's not good. That's not good. The UFC needed somebody to save this card. Alex was available, but Magomed Ankalaev, he told them apparently that he only wants to fight in Abu Dhabi. So, of course, fuck him, right? No, you do not get you can't do that. You cannot do that, Magomed. You think you call the shots around here. You have every single physical advantage in the book right now. Okay? You're born in Dagestan. You're more skillful than everybody else. You're more well-rounded. You do not get any more privileges than you already have. All right? And that's essentially what happened. That's what the UFC told him. And now we're getting Khalil Rountree. A lot of people are trying to say that they're trying to protect Alex, that they're just trying to feed him easy nonsense fights. But look, the truth is, I think Khalil Rountree is actually pretty good. I think he's genuinely really good. I think he's a very, very high-level kickboxer. He's pretty steroidy just by the looks of him. I'm not saying he's on steroids. What I am saying, though, is he has tested positive, and he looks like he's on steroids. Take that as you will. And he is a genuinely very dangerous kickboxer. But can he pose any actual problems to Alex Pereira? I mean, honestly, I do think offensively he does pose some issues, and there are some very interesting questions going into this fight, because is he going to use his famous Muay Thai stance? Because if you go back and look at Khalil Rountree's career, it's been pretty interesting. He comes out against Eric Anders completely Bangkok ready. Like, he is fighting 100% like a Thai fighter. Everything. He fought that fight exactly like a traditional Thai fighter would. It went viral. People loved it. But then he immediately fights Ion Kutabale or whatever. And he just gets wrestle fucked, because obviously you're standing like a Thai fighter, you face a wrestler, that's not going to go well for you. At that point, you're just giving up single legs. If you're really putting no weight on your front leg at all, you're just gifting it to them. They're just going to grab it, hike it up, and they're going to trip you over and over and over again. Unless you're Jose Aldo or Charles Oliveira, who either has rock-solid takedown defense or just doesn't care about getting taken down, okay, fine. But in Khalil Rountree's case, it wasn't a good idea. And then immediately following that fight, he fights Marcin Prachniow. And look, that fight, it was pretty close. Khalil did have him hurt really bad in round 2. But again, you saw some deficiencies in that pure Thai stance. One of which being you're just very, very stationary. Now, with the giant gloves, right, you can make it work because you can cover up very well. But in the small 4-ounce gloves, if you don't have any movement, you're going to get hit a lot. And, of course, the other big issue for Khalil was he slows down a lot after round 1, I would say. Round 1, he's insanely dangerous. Round 2, like I said, he hurt Prachniow pretty bad. But by round 3, he was pretty fatigued. So, since then, he doesn't fight with that same pure Muay Thai stance. He still fights like a Thai fighter, but he's not quite as light on that front leg. He's not bouncing it. He's not Bangkok ready anymore. But since then, he's been on a 5-fight win streak, and, I think I have seen some improvements to his game. His most recent fight against Anthony Smith was the first time I saw him a lot more conservative. He was still throwing for the fences pretty much every single punch he threw, but like I said, he was a lot more relaxed, and his cardio held up a lot better in this fight, and he finished Smith in the 3rd round. Now, I would say the thing that makes Khalil so dangerous is the fact that, for one, he has really, really good hand speed. He throws very fast with an insane amount of power. I mean, there's just no getting around that. But what makes it so difficult to get a read on him defensively is the fact that I would say 80% of the punches he throws are big looping hooks. Now, these are very scary because he throws them so fast, and getting hit by it has dire consequences, of course. But, when it comes to landing clean on your opponent, really catching them with a shot they don't see coming, typically that's not the way to go. But what he does is, he comes in with all these hooks, he gets you very worried about them, then on occasion just mixes a straight shot right down the middle in combination with the hooks, and it really catches people off guard. They get tagged once, and he hurts you really badly. So then you look at Alex Pereira and you see, okay, what elite skills does Alex have that people just cannot deal with? One, of course, is the calf kicks. Pereira does not turn his hips over while he throws the leg kicks, which makes it borderline impossible to read. And when you're targeting an area like a calf, which just does not have a lot of muscle, there's not a lot of meat there, you do not need very many of them to really compromise your opponent. So, of course, that's where Khalil's Muay Thai stance comes in. He hasn't used it since the Eric Anders fight, but I would say, if I'm him, I'm going out there, I'm fighting with a pure Thai stance. You're not worried about Pereira taking you down, and that could really help him negate the calf kicks. He doesn't need to get a clean check on any of the leg kicks, but as long as he's not keeping any weight on his front leg at all, it's going to help him not absorb nearly as much damage. And then, of course, the other big thing is Alex, he is susceptible to straight shots right down the middle. Now, a lot of people will tell you, well, Pereira just has a boxing defense deficiency, which, I guess so, but what you need to understand is Pereira does it on purpose. He keeps his hands kind of out and in front of him because he wants to knock you out with very short shots that have absolutely no windup. He wants to knock you out with a quick extension of his arm, and that's what makes him so dangerous. He's sacrificing a little bit of defense for the ability to catch you clean in the middle of your combination. It's exactly what he did to Jiri Prochaska in their first fight. It's exactly what he did to Jamal Hill. As soon as these guys are extending in with big shots, he just extends his arm a few inches forward, and now all of a sudden you're knocked out. So, of course, I don't want to make it seem like Alex has some crazy glaring hole in his game defensively, but he is susceptible to straight shots no matter how you want to put it. So you've got Khalil Rountree, who's going to have a speed advantage, no question. He starts moving in with the occasional big hook. Alex is going to be backing away. If he can time a straight shot right down the middle off one of his hooks, if he lands it clean, at that point, anything can happen. At that point, absolutely anything can happen. And Khalil Rountree, like I said, offensively, he does pose some very scary issues to somebody like Alex Pereira, who stands very tall, head up in the air. He just does not use a whole lot of head movement. You move forward with him on punches, typically he's going to back away. He's not known for slipping and ripping. He wants to catch you in the middle of your combination. So it's an area where I think Khalil could possibly catch him clean. But, of course, we need to come back down to reality a little bit, because Khalil Rountree, like I said, a deficiency the Muay Thai stance has is just a lack of movement. Thai fighters typically don't use a whole lot of head movement. They're very stationary, and because of this, Khalil gets caught. He does. Anthony Smith was catching him clean. Dustin Jacoby was catching him very clean. A lot of people argue that Jacoby should have got the decision for that fight. And then you look at Alex Pereira, whose timing and his power is so good, and you say, well, most likely Khalil Rountree is going to get knocked out, right? I think that, of course Pereira is going to be a massive favorite. Of course Khalil Rountree is probably going to get caught at some point during one of his combinations. He is going up against a guy in Alex who has a massive height and reach advantage, and you're just never going to catch Alex running into a punch, which is how you're really going to finish him. He always stays behind his hands very well. He's never overextending. He's very rarely in a bad position. Adesanya had to set him up perfectly. Adesanya had never once in any of his fight career had covered up against the fence how he did. Alex Pereira thought he was done. He was trying to finish him, and that's why he threw 6 punches in a row without worrying about defense, and then got caught super clean with a massive overhand. But apart from that, it's just so hard to catch him clean. And of course, like I said, he's going to be the massive favorite. He's probably just going to catch Khalil in the middle of a combination and knock him out. But like I said, offensively, Khalil Rountree does pose some problems to Alex Pereira.